Three, two, one, go.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Triad of the Force podcast, a podcast from three Puerto Rican friends coming together to deep dives into Star Wars and other nerd-related media. This is our limited series where we talk about Ahsoka, today focusing on episode 6 and 7, Far, Far Away, and Dreams and Madness, with her titles, by the way. We are happy to announce that we are having Mo joining us once again to review these fabulous Ahsoka episodes. But before we get started, a little message from
Well, I mean, I guess you do know because if we've released these episodes and you have been listening to them, even though we haven't been releasing them
something good
because
has
of the
happened.
strikes, but something great has happened at this point, and you'll notice at the cover art because we have a different little logo showing our support for what's going on in Hollywood. But it's no longer the WGA and SAG-AFTRA strikes. It's only the SAG-AFTRA strike against the AMPTP because thankfully the WGA strike is over because the WGA won the strike. They got the deal that they wanted and they are no longer on strike. So that is the power of unions, the power of people coming together and standing up for what's right. It's a big win for the WGA.
A big win. Yeah.
I kind of read the terms of the agreement and kind of compared it to some of the things that they were asking for, and it's pretty damn close. They basically got almost, if not everything, that they wanted from the studios. So, what was it, like 5 months of strikes from the WGA? So it was a considerable amount of time, but not wasted. It wasn't in vain because they won. So it's kind of very hopeful now for SAG-AFTRA. Today we're recording on a Monday, and this Monday SAG-AFTRA is back on the negotiating table with AMPTP. So hopefully the momentum from the WGA win is going to carry over to SAG-AFTRA so that they can also, after a couple rounds, I mean, maybe just one round, but let's be like more realistic. After a couple of rounds of negotiating, win that strike, and we can put this behind us and get that win for unionized labor. So that's good. That's good news. That's it benefits everybody here. Even though we're not part of that industry, but it still benefits workers as a whole because it kind of gives us a goal to strive to. It's just, striking works. For people that say que los pelus don't accomplish anything, they do.
Sometimes they do.
But so now, our little disclaimer thing is a little different because instead of saying the Jane SAG-AFTRA, it's going to be like this episode was recorded during the SAG-AFTRA strike against the AMPTP without the labor of all the actors, all these wonderful actors, the series, Ahsoka, and all the other wonderful series and movies that we'd love to talk about wouldn't exist. So if you're willing and able, please donate to the community. Oh my God, I forgot the name of the community fund, but it's down in the description below. So the appropriate title's there, but support the actors in any way that you can. Even awareness works. So retweeting, sharing, talking about it to your parents and telling them that, striking does work, boomer, will definitely help. So please, do that because the fight's almost over, but it's not done.
Not over until the fat lady sings.
And she's singing. But she hasn't reached that final crescendo of song. But we can talk about the strike all day long, but it's late on a Monday, and we're here to talk a little bit about Ahsoka. Last 3 episodes that we reviewed were kind of a doozy of some episodes, especially episode 5 with Anakin Skywalker coming back, and that amazing sequence about the world between worlds and Ahsoka's relationship to herself, to Anakin, to her purpose, to her relationship with the Jedi and what it means for her going forward was absolutely incredible. We got to see Purgles going into hyperspace. It was one of the most incredible pieces of Star Wars that I've ever seen.
So good. Incredibly
good. It's finally doing some of the things that we've always wanted Star Wars to do, at least in live action. It's just lean into the crazy, lean into the
Yeah.
mystical, lean into new things that we've never seen. And that episode was delivering, but I think these two are delivering in spades, and we got some characters that I hope made Mo very very happy because we saw the return of a certain group of people that we've been longing to see for a very very long time. And at least to me, I think that their appearance was absolutely incredible. And I'm not talking about my boy in Blue Thrawn.
Yeah.
So let's
Who's
just
not a
get this.
boy anymore.
It's not a boy. Yeah, it's definitely not a boy. But let's get this party going. I see this is a review, so we're not recapping anything. Just like our general thoughts about these two episodes, which kind of feel like the prelude to the finale because it feels,
Well,
very
it is.
sequential to
It's
that.
definitely dealing up at it's definitely heading towards that finale, which we'll get into because I'm not sure how satisfied I'm going to be considering that we only have one episode left and how
Hmm
much of a
hmm
conclusion we're going to get to this. But these two episodes worked very well together, especially because Balin mentions, that this is a planet of dreams and madness in episode 6. So like the
hmm
two episodes are kind of tied together in a very cool way, even though they're supposed to be separate and they both have their separate purposes. And we don't get Ahsoka at all in part 6, which is one of the times that I will say that I'm not all that upset that the main character didn't show
I
up
mean,
because it was
we
a
do get her
storyline.
at the beginning, which with that awesome
Yeah.
scene with Hu Yang, where Hu Yang
With
says
Yang, yeah.
a long time ago in a
Time
galaxy
ago
No,
in
far
a
away, which
galaxy
was
far,
like,
far
oh
away.
Lord, they said the
oh
thing.
Lord, it happened.
So
I know.
The thing
Roll
as we said.
credits.
exactly, credits done.
Well, and
Episode's perfect.
it was such a cool way to use that line though, because
Hmm
to us, the stories of the original Star Wars is set in a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
hmm
But then to those characters, the stories from that other galaxy had become myth that happened
hmm
a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. So it's this cool play on perspective and time and everything that as soon as he said that line, I was like, they did not just do that. That was
hmm
so well done.
Well, but in
But
terms of
anyway,
mythos too, it kind of works, and this is just
yeah.
getting into like the super nerd, nitty gritty part aspect of Star Wars. But it's really interesting because the opening crawls of all the Star Wars movies have been kind of presented, and you can see this in the from a certain point of view books that they're actually written by the Wills. So the Wills are telling the story of Star Wars, and that's them writing the opening crawls. It's kind of like bringing everything kind of full
Everything
circle.
together.
It's George Lucas telling us the fairy tale, but the fairy tale is being told within the mythos, and the mythos is being told by the person that's writing the thing. But then it's Hu Yang now narrating that mythos as
Yeah.
well. So it's
Yeah.
hey, it's like poetry. It rhymes. It's
It
great,
is.
and we love
It
it.
is. You want me to tell you one of the stories? It's so good. And
Hmm
then, Balin Skull making references to those stories and how there's magic
hmm
in that galaxy, which is like different from the Force. There's like actual magic was just confirmed for us, which I think was great.
Mo, what was your reaction? Like, we didn't have you like for the last 3 episodes,
Yeah.
so I feel like you've been, like building up like all this,
It's been coagulating.
Ahsoka-ness, rebelness, all this stuff, and like now we're talking the episode in which the Night Sisters make their triumphant return. So, like, what did you think of those episodes, and what did the Night Sisters coming back mean to you?
I think I'm gonna share like what Nani just mentioned. Like there's the magic aspect to it. Like that there was, up to episode 5, like, it's like a rebel story.
Hmm
Mhm.
But then episode 6 and 7 are more, they're so saturated because I think that's the word with like mysticism and like mythological like aspects of Star Wars.
hmm
I couldn't like help to like start like almost like seeing, I don't know if I'm just like overseeing things or maybe I'm just like, oh shit, this is like what's they're trying to like explain, but it's almost like all of the characters, like they all envision the one thing, like the transcendence into like their own journey.
hmm
Mhm.
They each one have their own path. Like we see, Ahsoka is like the born again. You have
hmm
the Gandalf the white thing. You died and then
Yeah.
you come back reborn. You have like uh, Sabine, which is like that lost wanderer.
Mhm.
She's the pilgrim. She's taking like the journey to like she thinks she has to find Ezra to be saved, but all along it's her own journey. She's
Mhm.
the one
Mhm. Mhm.
who saves herself. Then you have Ezra, which is like the Christ figure, and
Mhm.
this whole like he's even like I love that scene when they're like escaping from like the wolves and the
Mhm.
bandits. It looks like he's like leading the flock away from the
Yeah.
wolves.
Mhm. Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
Yep.
it's such a like a Christ parallel,
Mhm.
and you see like he's like, oh, forget about weapons. I'm like one with the Force now, kind of situation.
How
Then you have
cool was
Thrawn. Like
that?
Mhm.
Thrawn is like
Yeah.
he's playing the I love like it's almost like a matchup between like very like Machiavellian and very
Mhm.
Lao Tzu kind of
Mhm. Mhm.
character. Like it's a fusion between like this whole like admiration, like you have to know your enemy
Yeah.
and like before you even like contemplate what to do. And then you have like the Night Sister who's like almost playing like the fool. Like she's just like in this journey, like, is she being taken like advantage of?
Mhm.
Advantage
Mhm.
of,
Like,
yeah.
Mhm.
is she actually like on her own path? Like she just incorporates like the full like she doesn't understand like all of like Thrawn's like imminent planning on like what's
Mhm.
happened. And then
Yeah,
also
and kind
Thrawn,
of that she was used a little bit by the great mothers to like come
Mhm.
yeah,
here. So it's like not really her own journey, like they're playing her
like
string,
they're
you know?
playing, like
Yeah.
they're playing like it's almost like, oh, I thought this was my own journey, but she's being played the fool by all of
Yeah.
like this greater power because that's what everything's being referenced as. Like there's a greater power out there that either we're there's some are trying to run away from and like
Mhm.
others are trying. Like Balin is like
Yeah.
I love
Trying
like
to embrace that power or uncover it or
yes
something to reset the cycle of
to re-
destruction that has been
so
put into motion.
and that part gave me like shivers because it's almost it's very reminiscent of like the Buddha trying to break the cycle of
Mhm.
samsara,
Mhm.
which is like the karmic cycle of like he's like fuck everything. Like I want to go to the source and
Yeah.
destroy this whole
Go
cycle
back
of
to the
like
beginning
suffering
and
and
destroy
war.
everything.
It's like so it's and then he's I love that fight with like Ahsoka because he's the contrast to Ahsoka's
Mhm.
journey. They're the yin and the yang. He's like the little white hole engulfed in darkness, and Ahsoka's like the little black hole engulfed in light.
Mhm.
They bet that's why they can't destroy each other. And Ahsoka, like they like in that fight, they like embrace it, like, hey, I'm not gonna kill you. You do
Mhm.
you,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah. I
I
do
have my
me. I'm going this way. You go
yeah.
that way. Bye bye.
Bye-bye. Like we can
Which
live in
was really
peace.
cool with Balin with his apprentice
Mhm.
Shin as well, because he noticed that she is very ambitious about power and finding her place within this possible new empire. So he doesn't want to restrict, forcing her to follow his path. So it's very cool to see. It's like you are have ambition, you want power, go your own way because that's not where my path is leading. I'm
Mhm.
going somewhere else. It's our place to separate amicably, which is something that the Jedi never really understood how to do because they kind of forced their own apprentices to just do the one thing, be Jedi. That's it. And Balin
Mhm.
is this person who believes that there were good traditions to the Jedi, as we can already tell. We've mentioned a couple times that she has a little braid and there's traditions that are involved. He taught her how to make a lightsaber, but other things about the order that he knows that were instrumental in creating this destructive cycle between
Mhm.
empire and republic that is never ending. And he's trying to put that poke in the wheel to destroy the whole thing. And it's very cool that he kind of had to go to this. We don't know what happened to that galaxy, what happened, because clearly it the witch kingdom of Dathomiri was incredibly powerful at one point. I mean, those statues that you see are very
Mhm.
back to Lord of the Rings, but in like a really
Mhm.
cool
Mhm.
way.
Mhm.
And a whole civilization was clearly destroyed. And what happened? Was it the Dathomiri themselves? Was it this other great power that he's searching for? or was this power actually created by the Dathomir and then it came back to bite them next? Like, what? So I don't know. I think it's been really, really cool to watch this
Eh,
unfold.
I wanted to piggyback on something that you both were talking about between like Balin and Shin's relationship, which let's we said it last time, but we need to say it again. And and the one thing that I feel like the whole of the internet is in agreement on right now with Ahsoka is how amazing of a job Ray Stevenson has done in portraying Balin's Cole. It's like what an incredible performance, and it's a shame he's no longer with us, but we're so lucky that he gifted us like this
Yeah.
role
And that he's
because
not
he's
able to see all
absolutely
this
crushing it.
praise
Yep, yep.
because it's very rare for Star Wars
Unanimous
fandom to
praise.
agree on something, and his performance has been so evocative. It's so sad that he didn't get to
Yep.
see that reaction, but who
And,
knows? Maybe he can from somewhere.
and I agree with you both with like what's happening not just between Balin and Shin, but also with Balin and Ahsoka, because it's very like you were saying, well, they are the yin and the yang, and they are mirrors to each other, but also not just interpersonal, Balin, Ahsoka, Shin, Sabine, but also the duality of the teacher and the student, because
Yeah,
they both are. I think it's interesting because a lot of people are being like, "Oh, kind in how he broke up with his student," but there's I think there's some it's a opposite of what's happening right now with Ahsoka and Sabine, which I'll get to in a minute. But it's perverse in a sense too because he's never told his apprentice what he's after. He's never been
right.
open about it, and he's been training
Mhm.
her for something that now he's chiding her for her not wanting to be a part of, or for wanting to do something else, and then kind of putting it on her that she wants something different, even though he's the one that has been kind of leading her down that path without
That's not
giving her
really
all
what
the
I how I
full.
read it though.
Well, she doesn't know what he wants.
Well,
So,
true,
and
because
he's been
he
leading her to
said,
power. He's like, "Oh, what will you find in in like this other galaxy or
mhm,
whatever it was in episode 2 or 3, I forget." And he's like,
mhm,
"Power." So he is leading her down the path of power.
yeah,
And all of a sudden, when it's time to make, when they're like at the crossroads of like, "Oh, we have to follow Thrawn, or we're doing like this mystical force quest that I want to do that I've
yeah,
never involved in." It's like, "Ah, never mind. I'm still not gonna bring you into my plan. I'm just gonna like, just it's not you, it's me. I'm gonna go this way and you go that way," which is still kind of not. I mean, yeah, he did it in a good way, but it's still like making Shin go down also a dark path because now she feels abandoned. It's like, oh, well, then what's my purpose now? My master was telling me that I was, being trained for something greater, but at the moment of truth, it's just like, oh, where do I belong? And then the night troopers leave. She's by herself. Her master leaves, and then the one person that's giving her like their hand to be like, hey, I can help you. It's Ahsoka. So like she's
yeah.
now in this like crossroads where I think it's gonna be interesting in this final episode to see how does she heal or completely destroy that relationship. Does she go find Balin and give him
Yeah,
his comeuppance, or does she actually double down and go with Thrawn? Or
yeah,
does she wildcard, redeem herself, and go with Ahsoka? Who knows? But I think that's the interesting part of like looking at the master apprentice relationship because one is breaking that relationship in search of something outside of themselves, and the other is like coming to heal that relationship to find something within both of themselves. Obviously, one is Bela and Shin, and then now Ahsoka and Sabine.
that's okay.
So I think it's super cool that Filoni is doing like all these, relationships and bringing in a lot of like mythic and historic things and fantasy tropes into the show that sometimes are heavy-handed, obviously, like all this, all the wargs from from the Two Towers here in the battle sequence. But it's really cool because that's what George Lucas was doing, right? Reinterpreting myth in a
Yeah,
in a sci-fi flavor, and Dave Filoni's kind of doubling down on that. Uh, I want to obviously talk about Thrawn because he's I've been looking forward to this a long time. But the
yeah,
wild card of the Night Sisters, which some people were theorizing that they might show up, but some people thought that like, okay, we got Morgan Elspeth, so that's the only Night Sister we're gonna get.
yeah.
But the fact that we got the three fabulous great mothers was something that was, at least to me, incredible. And the fact that they were then framed under like the Greek fates, and if you look at the credits of the episodes, they're named almost exactly the same, and they keep mentioning the threads of fate and all these things. It's just like Again, heavy-handed, but
And
delicious.
even their power, which is like this combination of technology and magic, and it's
Mhm.
strings of red fate. I mean,
Should have
it's
been
just
cooler if it was green, just
green.
in the
I
magic,
know.
but maybe they're
I
saving that
agree.
for the finale. And something I learned that I did not know before, but that I learned with, while researching a little bit more about the Fates, is that technically their name are the Morai, which I'm just like, oh shit, Morai and like Ahsoka and the Morai. I'm just like, okay, Filoni, you were playing the long game on this one.
Yeah.
But Mo, what did you think of the Night Sisters?
I mean, it was really reminiscent of like that whole like Hades with
Hmm.
the
Yep. Oh, 100%. I
like
thought of
I was
Hercules too.
you had a blue character with like flame eyes. It was
Tonally
like
different because Hades a little different than Thrawn.
a little bit different than Thrawn, but
But I see it. I see it. Yes.
it's, I love like how you're never really sure like are they are they with Thrawn? Are they playing Thrawn? Is Thrawn playing them? Like it's so ambiguous like what is happening in the relationship. And I think that's what keeps the mystery alive. Like who's playing who kind of thing. Like it's
Hmm.
like a four-dimensional chess thing
Hmm.
going on within all like this the great mothers and like because like what is their purpose in
Hmm.
going to the other side of the galaxy? Like what was their or purpose when they left that galaxy to
Hmm.
the so there's still so many unanswered aspects and the fact that they're still alive after what seems to be like a legendary amount of time that has passed,
Right.
then it does create more questions like
Hmm.
and it all goes back to like I like how they kept like going back and I Ahsoka also went back and uh how you also went back to it like this whole idea of destiny.
Hmm.
Like, do you have a choice in your
Yeah.
actions?
Hmm.
Like,
Hmm.
are you fated to your towards your choice? Is that
Yeah.
like your only free choice? Like there's so many threads, not to, no pun intended,
Intended. Intended.
intended,
Hmm.
that it's like very like it's like playing an accord like not an accordion now, like a harp.
Hmm. Hmm.
You actually like it's the union of those like harmonies that give out reality in a sense, but the strings are there. The notes will always be the same. Those are faded. But
Hmm.
what comes out rhythmically, that's the freedom, that's the expression. I think that's what they're kind of like playing at, like those like, you know, the static nature of like, vibrations to like a note will always vibrate a certain way, but it's the harmony of those notes. It's the way they're composed that gives freedom to the staticness of it. I think that's what sort of like it's playing around this whole like Night Sisters and like Thrawn and Ezra and like
Hmm.
Ahsoka. Like it's like the strings are out there. What's gonna happen? I guess we'll know next episode. But like the chords have all been played, and I think Thrawn is aware of that because he's like our advantage right now is that we have time
Hmm.
over,
Yeah.
and that's all you need when it comes to like a symphony, just time.
That's
As the
exactly what I was gonna say. But another important part of like music is silence, right? So it's
yeah,
like what's happening in
Yeah.
between those notes, and
Yeah.
I love that comparison. That you blew my
That was
mind a
good.
little bit. Especially,
That was
well,
good.
not okay, not a little bit. You blew my mind completely.
not gonna
Fantastic.
not gonna
I
lie.
love it. But
I
I do
will.
actually have a theory
I
of
blew my
what
own mind.
maybe is going on between the Night Sisters and
I,
so
I think. I mean, with the. I mean, I was just gonna say like that was a Mobius strip bomb that just happened
oh
there.
yeah,
So
of
it's just
course. That was fantastic. Oh yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
was wonderful. I'm gonna be thinking
That
about that
was
all night.
wonderful.
But
Yeah.
my theory, especially having read like all the Thrawn books and like knowing
Hmm.
a little bit of his, how he thinks based on how Timothy Zahn writes him, which is obviously a little different to how he's being portrayed here, because here he's straightforward villain, and in the books it's more like in the books depends on which book. He's either an I would say a anti-villain or a hero, right? It just depends on the point of view that we're looking at the character. And Thrawn's biggest limit or block, which we see a little bit in Rebels, is that he doesn't understand the Force, because the Force is a wild
Yeah.
card. It's
Mhm.
quote unquote magic, so it's not logical, it's not rational, it's not physical and tangible. Even though technically,
Which you could
Memorable, he can.
tell
even
with
though
his
it's technically
reaction.
physical and tangible because midichlorians, blah 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 blah. But you
Yeah,
know what I mean.
whatever. But
We
no,
don't
but
talk about
which you
those.
can see in
Yeah,
his
we don't talk
interaction
M
with
counts.
Sabine, which I actually really enjoyed. That's like he can't understand how her mind works, that she would risk her entire
Mhm, mhm.
galaxy to save one person. And he just kind of looks at her with grudging respect, but at the same time, like, I have no idea how you reached that conclusion.
Mhm.
It is complete nonsensical. I cannot grasp, my head around it because he's so hyper logical and all about the greater good that just
Mhm.
with that one interaction with Sabine, which I thought was perfection, just conveys who Thrawn really is at his core.
Wait, what word? What phrase did you just say? Greater good, Thrawn.
Yeah,
Greater
yeah,
good.
greater good.
So I know that was a coincidence, but it was appropriate.
Well timed.
It was well
on
timed.
point. It
It
was
was
on point.
yes, thank you. But yeah, but and to that point, like I think that he's trying to like plug that weakness and find a way to use the force to his benefit in a way that he can, if he doesn't understand it, find someone that does understand and that will be on his
And
team.
have them on my side.
And I think that's where how the Night Sisters are plugging into this. It's like, okay, well, you're my ally now because I kind of need to know about the Force to be able to figure this out, because the Force got me into this problem in the first place. Because obviously Ezra talking to the Purgle was the thing that got them over there. So he's like, well,
Yeah.
I gotta get back. So I don't
Yeah.
know how that's gonna work, but I need
Well,
Force.
I think it might actually be more specific than that. Clearly, a deal was made, and I
Oh
think
yeah,
these
yeah.
were the terms. The Night Sisters will help him leave exile, which is clearly what happened because they started to give the dreams to Morgan Elspeth so she would know how to find her way
Mhm.
into the galaxy so that they could be. And what I think they're taking as cargo, they mentioned the catacombs. So I think they might be taking corpses
Oh yeah.
of dead Night
Oh yeah.
Sisters. And then
100%.
the deal is that somehow they lost the source of their power in that planet and they want to take it back to the other galaxy so they can rebuild. I
Mhm.
think
Oh yeah.
that's what it seems like to me. So it's very exciting. I also, it's not only the fates that remind me of their great mothers, it's also very closely tied, I think, to witchcraft because usually we see
Yeah.
the representation of the mother, the maiden, and the
Yep.
crone.
Yeah.
And
Which
it's
we
like,
saw at the beginning of the season. Yep.
yeah.
With
So,
the I always forget the name of that
yep.
symbol, but yeah, we saw that at the beginning too.
Yeah.
It's not either or. It's both
It
and.
can be both. It can be everything. Like a myth can be more than one thing.
A myth inherently is more than one thing.
Is more than
I
one
think
thing. Yeah.
Joseph Campbell tells us that.
Yeah.
No, but I agree. Those are. I mean, obviously,
Those are the,
I'm not
yeah.
100% sure because I can't be 100% sure about everything. But I think definitely what they're getting out of the catacombs. I mean, that's
Mhm.
a catacomb, right? Catacomb
It's a
is a place where you
catacomb.
keep the
Yeah.
dead. So it's definitely like a. Well, do you think it's dead Night Sisters, or do you think it's like dead Stormtroopers? I think it's dead Night Sisters, but we gotta ask the
Yeah.
question.
Yeah. Night Sisters.
Bro, Night Sisters.
Okay,
Because
I'm
it
glad we
wouldn't
got
be
over
in
that
the
one quick.
interest. Yeah, well, because it wouldn't be in the interest of the Great Mothers to help him transport dead stormtroopers. Honestly, like,
True.
what do they get out of it?
Although I do want to say something. As much as I've been loving, as long as I've been loving seeing like Night Sisters come back, I do have like one itty bitty gripe, and it's the watching them in the in the monolith of evil, right? Just seeing them like, oh, they're bad guys or bad sisters, I guess. Considering that like in the Jedi games in Survivor and Fallen Order, we see a Night Sister that's on the quote unquote good guys team, and like seeing that
Yeah.
no one's between, well, not all the Night Sisters are allied with like that point of view. There's others that can be, different and like do different things. So I know that now we're reintroducing them, so it'll be
Yeah.
a little tough to be like, okay, well, look at all these different clans and shit. But eventually, if the Night Sisters come
Yeah.
back in full force, which I hope they
Which
do,
is very exciting.
I hope that
Yeah.
we see more nuance in the future.
Yeah. Well, and I necessarily don't think that they're villains. I mean, obviously the way that the Black Evil Tower and everything, but I think they're just coming off as more desperate than evil because this is like their only choice to get away from whatever
Yeah.
it is that they're trying to get away
Mhm,
from,
mhm.
or to like restore an entire race of people. So Thrawn was their only option. So that's what they're going with. But I don't necessarily see that as inherently evil.
Mhm.
Or Thrawn either, to be honest, because what he knows is strategy. And when he left the galaxy, it was the Empire that was his ally. So it would make sense for him to want to continue that, especially from him being like the savior of the galaxy, would put him in a better position to help his people. So I don't think he is inherently evil.
Well, I don't disagree with the thought process, but at the end of the day, if you help a fascist genocidal government, like your intentions might be
You
pure,
kind of are.
Yeah,
You
but
well,
you
kind of are.
but you
but then
still helped genocide.
I mean,
So
but then for by if you follow that logic, then you have to play Sabine on the evil side. She was willing to
Yeah.
sacrifice a whole galaxy just to find her friend. Like,
well,
and
I
if
think
given that if Ahsoka was
I
in
don't think it's one to
fine,
one. I have to push back. It's not one to one. She's not actively working to destroy that galaxy. She's like, wait,
Yeah.
I want to try to have my cake and eat it too. I want to save someone I love and try to get that to work too. While Thrawn is actively working every day. He's like, when he puts his time card in, he's like, okay, I'm making sure that this empire is killing people.
Mm.
So I think it's not, I think it's where the grays start to intertwine, but I think one, outweighs the other. But that's just me. Maybe I'm crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. And what
I
did you
mean,
think, being such a huge fan of Thrawn, how the character was portrayed? Because I think the cadence and the rhythm of how he speaks is so good, and
Okay, I'm
like,
gonna I'm gonna I'm
yeah,
gonna keep it
that
yeah,
real.
that
I'm gonna keep it
that
real.
uh-huh.
bought Thrawn.
A little bit, only a little bit. It wasn't as jarring as Boba Fett in in the Mandalorian that first time. But I
Just
got
like,
over it
whoo.
real quick. Uh, well, okay. The problem is, and I use problem in a very light sense. I don't want to say, oh, the problem is because I'm no. The problem is expectations, right? You are reading
Right.
about this character for who knows how many decades, and you see the art on books, and you see how
Mm,
it's portrayed in video games, and you see this and
yeah,
you see that. So in your mind, there's something, that you're
that
seeing
you're
an
expecting. Yeah,
image of what this character is or is not, and then you see the thing finally, and it's just like, oh, at first it's a little jarring. It's like, oh, that's not what I
That's
was
not a thing.
expecting.
That's not a thing.
yeah.
Because I remember when they announced at Star Wars Celebration that like it was gonna be Lars Mikkelsen coming back from just doing the voice at Rebels to actually
Mhm.
portraying him in live action. I'm like, I don't know if he has the physicality that I
Yeah,
have in my mind for Thrawn. So
right.
it's the problem we always have with Batman castings. We always say
Yeah,
that's a terrible casting because blah 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 blah. Either Michael Keaton is a comedian, so he can't be Batman, or or Ben Affleck isn't Christian Bale, or it's not Michael. We always have that
yeah,
preconceived notion of what Batman should be, and we always handicap ourselves in terms of being able to receive the character with open arms.
yeah,
And I was a little bit with that with Thrawn, but the more the episode progressed, and especially with the last episode, I was just like,
yeah.
I'm 100% in. Like the way he carries himself, obviously the voice,
Oh yeah,
Rebels, the eyes look amazing, and like being
yeah.
calm, cool, and
Hands behind
collected.
his back all the time.
And then those
It's
stormtroopers look cool, man. Like
oh
with
yeah,
the Night Sister wrappings and the
yeah.
kitsugi and the armor. The kintsugi. I hope I'm saying it right. And then like when Captain Enoch shows up with the gold mask, I'm like,
Oh
oh
yeah.
shit, that's
Enoch is
funerary.
epic.
I'm like with the funerary mask in gold, and then all the nerds in the internet's like, no, the Roman cavalry mask. And I'm like, stop it with the Roman Empire. I get it. I've seen the memes. I don't want to hear anything about the Roman Empire again. Their
Done.
funerary mask, god damn it. Uh,
Yeah,
but yeah, Thrawn he's delivering. He's delivering.
yeah,
I would like to see
yeah,
a little nuance from him because I think right now they're
yeah.
like, and I think they have to
Full
because they're
villaining
introducing
him.
they're
Yeah.
introducing him to
The big
whole
bad of
new
right now.
a whole
Yeah.
new group of people that don't even
Mhm.
know who the fuck Thrawn is. So they have to be like, okay, well,
Mhm.
here's one. You can't give too much nuance too quick.
Right.
So it's like,
We'll
okay,
just
here's Thrawn, and I think that he's living up to my heir to the Empire expectations. He still
Okay.
hasn't gotten to my ascendancy expectations of like a little more nuance, thinking about the shit's ascendancy instead of only the Empire. But I think it's been a home run. And then the Kiners, the score, bringing back the organ
Oh yeah.
from Rebels and like the whole sinister uh, melodies. It's like it's behind him every time he's doing something. Uh, I loved it. I will say, and I think this is a problem with Star Wars always, at least the first time a new character appears, his wig is not good. It's like, I don't know what's going on with the costume department or the wig department or
Yeah.
whatever it's called. It's like you did it with Bo Katan, now you're doing it
Yeah.
with Thrawn. Like it's like with the Leku with Ahsoka the first time. You always get it a little off the first time. It's a
Yeah.
nitpick. I know it's a nitpick, and I know they'll fix it next time. But it was a little jarring. It's like, what the? Just glue it down. It looks like Diaz Olivo, like the Puerto Rican political commentator.
Dude,
Looks
cállate.
the same wig. It's the same wig. They ordered it from him. All the people that are listening that don't follow Puerto Rican politics, I apologize. Look it up. Diaz Olivo, peluca. Diaz Olivo wig. That's Thrawn's wig.
There's a ton of memes. Yeah, you'll find it easy.
What about you, Mo? What did you think of Thrawn?
I can't think about the wig.
Because we've been in its presence.
It's a nitpick. It's a nitpick.
It is now an ominous presence. The wig.
I apologize. I'm
We should
sorry.
just add the red eyes to the wig and just be its own entity by itself.
Holy shit. We should do that. Yeah.
Oh my god, it'd be terrifying.
That could be a good shirt.
The
Just
thing is, yeah, only people in Puerto Rico will buy it at Puerto Rico Comic Con or something.
Yeah.
Because stateside, no one's gonna get it. But yeah, we should do that
God.
Photoshop. Nani, let's go with you while Mo laughs. What
well,
did you think
I
of
recuperate
the?
from the wig. The wig.
Well, I haven't had, a crush on Thrawn like you have for the last few years. So I didn't have it all that much in ways of like expectations. I mean, it's a character that I've always found very interesting. But I wasn't really introduced to him until Rebels, and I haven't read the books, sadly. I'm a bad nerd. Sorry. But I thought it was really good because he was fantastic in Rebels. He was a great character juxtaposed with Ezra, which is weird that they haven't been like in each other's periphery at
Mhm.
all because there was so much going on with them in
I can
Rebels.
tell you why.
Well,
Because
I know he
they
was
have
running.
to they have to write the book to fill in the gap.
Right. Yeah.
You say it, there's no book. It's come on, Lucasfilm knows how to make that money.
But that's what makes it even stronger for me every time that the voice actor surpasses what physically the character is supposed to look like because
Mhm.
like you said he doesn't really look like how Thrawn was animated to look like, but the sound of the voice, the cadence, the how he carries himself, to me makes the character way more believable than
Mhm.
just physicality, which is why I keep on harping on it. I know why I think Ashley Eckstein, even if she didn't look as much, and obviously with Ahsoka, it's even easier to cover up with all the makeup. That Ashley Eckstein, the voice behind it, and the way because she taught herself how to fight like Ahsoka. We've seen her at some of the celebrations, how she moves with those lightsabers. I still think it was a really huge missed opportunity not to cast her. I know Rosario Dawson is a big name and it helps to propel the series, but I think it's better when you have that voice actor that has been interpreting this character, that has a love for the character. And I feel that even to you, Goose, who were like kind of shocked by the physicality, the more that you saw how he moved, the
Mhm.
more that you heard his voice, the more you started to buy the character. So,
Well, but based on that argument, I have to also disagree
okay,
because
fine.
I forgot the actor's name. The actor that's like playing Ezra now, he's
Mm,
not the guy I was doing the voice, and
I know.
he's crushing it. And in fact, I was
He is
never
crushing it.
I was never too big of an Ezra fan, but like his
Yeah, and now
portrayal
you are.
in Ahsoka,
Yeah.
I'm just like,
This guy,
I'm
I'm
like,
down
look
with
at this
this.
guy, yeah. Like I
Look
want to
at
grab a
this.
beer
Yeah.
with him.
No,
Yeah.
and I agree.
And
Actually,
same with
like
Sabine.
Ezra grew up really well, and Sabine's been very well done as well. So fine. Then I'll just blame Rosario Dawson because I just don't believe Jesus.
It's it's introduced like this episode was like the one that I finally was like, okay, I accept
I
Rosario
can
Dawson.
kind of buy it.
Like I'm okay with Rosario Dawson
It was the
being.
journey. We had to
Yeah,
go
we have
through
to.
the
The one I'm still not comfortable. I'm think I'm comfortable with all of them except Hera. I'm still not comfortable with
Yeah, Hera still.
I don't know. It just looks like what's her name and Hera cosplaying Hera. Like it
Yeah.
doesn't look like.
interesting. But before we go into Hera, because I want to talk a little bit about Hera too, pero
And
Mo,
that scene in the Senate. Well,
your Thrawn review.
My throne. Okay, so
Besides finding the wig hilarious.
okay. No, I hadn't even. It wasn't in my radar. You brought it up, and but I think the first thing, like like imagining if I've never like seen Thrawn, I think like one of the I mean, apart from the blue skin, like
Mhm,
I think the contrast they had with like, and I think Ezra comes a little bit into this with the eyes, like
mhm,
the
mhm.
beautiful red eyes in contrast with those
yeah.
like
Good. Yeah.
beautiful blue eyes. Like they both had beautiful eyes. That's for sure. And then like having like finally seeing because like you say you saw it like as a like the evil, but
Mm.
I'm with Nani. I don't see him like as an evil. Like he's just trying to escape this galaxy.
Exile.
I
Like
mean,
exile.
the man
Like,
the man's first line is like, "What was once a dream is now a frightening reality for those who oppose us." That I don't know. I don't say that about my coworkers. Or
Well,
even
yeah, and
my
it
or
was a
even my
little harsh.
enemies.
Like I am honoring only like the word of the agreement with Sabine, not the
Hmm.
spirit of it, because I
but
am letting her have the opportunity to find Ezra. But as soon as she finds Ezra, yeah, kill everybody.
and
So that
that's
is a
what made like it makes him so like that's like it adds to that Hades thing.
Hmm.
Like,
Hmm.
oh, I'm making a contract with you. Like I'm fulfilling my
yeah,
part. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
hey, you're finding
But it
Ezra.
goes to the fact that he is hyper logical. I don't think he sees any of his actions as just inherent evil. He just thinks
Yeah, exactly.
logical and he's following the best strategy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like there's no right or wrong. It's just what's
Mm,
the most logical.
It's the it's self like, what do I need to achieve my goals?
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah,
like
yeah. The
given
self-serving
given
strategy. Yeah.
yeah, like and that's what it portrays. Like this is a person who's like looking to have as much variables as possible
Mhm.
in his back pocket
Or reduce variables so
or
that he can
reduce.
control them.
Yes,
Yeah.
both ways. Yes,
Yeah. Depending on which is more
depending
favorable
on
to him.
yeah, depending on what's favorable for him, like on
Mhm.
Yeah.
his position, and then but you can also see like I don't know, like a playfulness to it,
Mhm. Mhm.
like he's not overly attached like the Emperor to
Mhm.
Yeah.
Death Star. Like clearly he was so attached he made the second one, and like Thrawn just seems to like hey, if this doesn't work, hey,
On to the
Change
acceptable
next one, yeah.
tax.
like
Mhm.
acceptable losses. Let's continue.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like I don't care if I lost a couple of like
He learned something through the process.
you learn something in the process. Like and I think that's what makes him equally also like scary
Mhm.
because then you're literally everything to him is just a chessboard. Like they're
Mhm.
just as simple as like, oh, I'm just moving a plastic or metal
Yeah.
piece. To
Yeah.
them,
You can't like emotionally cripple him in some
yeah,
way.
Which
uh,
is, I mean, which is what I kind of want to see, like the other side of him, where he's just like, because like you were saying, Mo, he's like the opposite of the emperor, and in one of the ways that he is like he inspires loyalty through respect. So all of his
Yeah.
troops are
And
with him
not
because they
fear.
value him and they
Mm,
respect him, and he values them to an extent too. So like I would want to see like that part of him, like caring about his troops and be like, no, I support them and I reward bravery or loyalty, all those things. So kind of see the flip side of his, I don't want to say flippant, 'cause that's the wrong word, but his efficient, let's say, nature to variables.
No, and I think it's almost like the name of the his Enoch, like, the chosen one.
Hmm.
You know.
Like,
Hmm.
it's like, it's almost like he's establishing himself as, like, this is a patriarchy, like, I am the head, and then,
Hmm.
like,
Hmm. Hmm.
I am Yahweh, and then, like, you're the chosen ones, and, like, everybody below. Like, so there's that certain, like, aspect of, like, he sees himself as superior to everybody else, that's for
Hmm.
sure. Like, there's an ego trip going on, like, he can't I don't think he fathoms that somebody can outsmart him.
I think that was true before what happened to him in Rebels, and that's why I kind of want to see some doubt because it's like, oh, I encountered this and it did
They had
not go well for me.
everything
So
like set, and
like
then
so I
Ezra
I, I
came and
do
ruined my plan.
because even in
Yeah.
all the books that I've read, like well, maybe like in the original Heir to the Empire trilogy, but like in the new canon books that I've read, like I haven't ever gotten, like you said, more like he knows what's up. It's just like he's Sherlock Holmes. He's 20 steps ahead of everybody, so he's confident that he's gonna win because he knows how all the chess pieces can move. But I think it'll make him even more compelling if we can see a little uncertainty, which we kind of got a little bit when Morgan tells him that it's that Ahsoka's master was Anakin Skywalker, and he's just like, "Oh
Yeah.
shit!"
Whoop.
Like, "Oh,
Mhm.
what's this? Watch out,
Yep.
polar bears!" It's like, you know,
But it almost seems like but I think that's where it comes to, like, the playfulness. It seems like he was curious, like, he
Mhm.
wanted to see,
Yeah.
like, "Oh, wait." Like, even
Yeah.
though he controls all the variables, he still wants to play.
Yeah.
He still wants to
And
have
you can
fun with it.
also
Mhm.
tell that he didn't really see Balin's skull leaving as
Mhm.
something that was going to happen, and he is also seeming curious about it. Like, why did he leave? Why are we missing a mercenary? Like, what is
Mhm.
happening? So yeah. So I think those things that don't fall into his perfect strategy and his looking like 10 feet ahead actually
Mhm.
surprise him. It's like, oh damn, I didn't calculate that as something that was going to happen.
And it's always those
So
force users, mess up the equation. Which,
mhm.
to your point, Nanny, I wonder. Obviously, we'll see tomorrow when the episode comes out. But with only one episode to go, like I want to know like how all these threads will.
Mhm.
And I meant that without wanting purposely to make
This
a
one
reference to
was,
the Night Sisters. It was totally accidental. I'm sorry. But like, see how
but
they
it
all come
still works.
together and unravel, or even get even more knotted
More
to like
tangled. Yeah.
reveal what's eventually going to happen. I know that. I mean, they said this was a limited series, but we know we're getting season 2, even though they haven't announced it. So, and we know we have the Dave Filoni movie, so there's gonna be a
Yeah.
lot of stuff that I think is gonna be left that we, just won't know after
Yeah.
tomorrow. Uh, so that being said, I know it's kind of doesn't really make sense to make responsible speculation when we're gonna put this out after the
Yeah.
episode has come out, and people will be like, "What the hell are you guys speculating
Oh,
about?"
but
But
before
it's
we
still
get to
fun
that,
for
I
people
kind
to
of
see
wanted
how we
to
were
talk
wrong.
about the Senate
Oh yeah, yeah,
scene that we got. Because I think just that one scene shows why the New Republic failed.
yeah. Hmm.
Like their adherence to that bureaucracy, which is why the original Republic failed, and
Hmm.
it's part of the
Hmm.
reason that the Empire failed, and they're still going with the same stupid system.
Hmm.
It was so frustrating to watch. And that one senator, I want him to punch him in the face.
Senator Xiono.
Oh God.
He's a douchebag, but if you have seen Star Wars Resistance, you knew that he was a douchebag to begin with. So he's, in character. So kudos to that actor for being a jerk.
Yeah.
Because
So we
holy crap.
clearly know why the New Republic failed. Why Leia became so frustrated that she left
Hmm.
the Senate and ended up becoming a general in the army because it's just ridiculous. It is always great to see Genevieve O'Reilly excel at
Ah,
being Mon
so good.
Mothma. So it's so good, and her kind of being the first one aside from Leia who clearly covered for Hera. That
Hmm.
Mon Mothma herself was just like, okay, putting emotions aside, how much of a threat do you think Mon is going to be?
Yeah.
So to have people actually listen, I mean, you know what a threat Thrawn could possibly be. You lose nothing by trying to investigate the issue.
Hmm.
So The whole scene was very
it's
frustrating.
interesting because I've gotten obviously like the first 2 episodes we got a lot of callbacks to episode 1, but like this
Yeah.
whole narrative of Mon Mothma and the New Republic really reminds me of episode 1 with Chancellor Valorum and how the
Yeah.
like Palpatine said, oh, the bureaucracy. It's like all these
Yeah.
people that are around Valorum that
Mhm.
like keep influencing him, and nothing gets done because of
Yeah.
procedure and all these things.
Mhm.
And like now we're back, and it's X amount of decades removed from episode 1, and like we're kind of back into that
Well,
system, which I think
and
is
it
great.
supports what Balin was saying, that it's all a cycle, and we know that it's gonna happen because the New Republic is gonna get destroyed very
Right.
soon.
But
So
it's interesting to see that short-sightedness that we first saw like in The Last Jedi with Luke and his
yeah,
Jedi
yeah,
Academy being like, okay, I'm just gonna do the Jedi the same way.
that has been
And
done
obviously that
before that we
fails.
know that
And
already failed. Yeah,
so it's
and
like
it's
the New
gonna fail
Republic's doing
again.
the same thing. It's just like, well, we'll set up the New Republic the way it was before. It's just like, well,
Yeah,
you're like making the same mistake and expecting different results, and that's called
yeah.
madness. So
Well,
I will say that as
part of the
much as
name
I
of the
love,
episode.
uh, there we go. I did not do that on purpose. But as much as I love Genevieve O'Reilly, I will say that obviously it's not her show, but I have to
Yeah.
say that in Andor we get a lot more of like what makes
Oh, of course.
Mon Mothma,
Yeah, and the nuance behind
and that
decisions and mhm.
was so well done in Andor that I kind of want to
Mhm.
see that with Mon Mothma now in the New Republic, and I'm like, what happened
Right.
to that
Yeah.
woman from the rebellion?
Yeah.
So like, why are you the type of chancellor that you are now? Obviously,
Yeah.
we don't have time to develop every single character in a show
Yeah.
that's called Ahsoka. We have to, focus
Yeah.
on Ahsoka and her squad, not the Andor squad. But just putting it out there. But it's not Genevieve O'Reilly's fault. She's doing a great job.
Oh,
So,
responsible speculation.
responsible speculation. Mo, what do you think? How do you think this season is going to end?
I think it's not gonna end. It's just
Well,
gonna be
the season will end
like it's gonna
until the
be
next season.
it's gonna be a cliffhanger.
Oh yeah.
Uh, like
All right.
kind of like you know two towers kind of thing that you that
Mhm.
that you're dangling at the end of like the journey. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it'll be like a reverse rebels. Everybody like darts away to the galaxy, to the other
Mhm.
galaxy. Then
Mhm.
if they just leave it at that. Uh,
Yeah.
I feel like at least there should be like a scene where it's Thrawn and Ezra
Mhm.
talking. I I think that
Yeah.
that's apart from like you know we're introducing the two characters that have been on this new mysterious land.
Mhm.
Mhm.
But like for fans of old, like it's kind of like like a it should be like at least like a little bit of a fan service or it's due
Closure or something. Yeah.
like a closure
Yeah.
like like hey what happened like
Yeah,
kind of
considering that one of my theories
Yeah.
was that they were besties, and clearly they're not. It's
Yeah.
like, well, now I need
I
to.
kind of wanted that to happen.
Maybe they were besties, and
maybe they were
and
besties
they
and then they
broke up.
broke up.
And there was
Yeah,
a
yeah.
fallout.
Something happened.
Something
Nan,
happened.
Nani, what's your speculation?
Yeah, I am kind of worried that they're going into it with so much momentum that it's really not going to be a satisfying conclusion because they have just this one episode to like kind of try to, you know, wrap up some of these loose ends. I know it's going to be impossible to do all of them. As we know, it's clearly not going to be the end
The
of
end.
the
Yeah.
story. It'll just be the end of a season. Um, what I'm really hoping for, honestly, is that we do get kind of a conclusion to Balin Skull's character because, as we know, we're not going to get him back. So, kind of feel
Hmm.
some sort of closure to what his journey was, at least to know what his plans were. And then, if we leave him behind, we know that he's like working on something specific instead of
Hmm.
just like leaving it so much up in the air because I thought he was a very, very compelling character
Hmm. Hmm.
and one of the most nuanced villains that we've gotten because he's just like somewhere there in the middle and
Hmm.
he's understandable and there's something so medieval knight about him just in the way he fights and the way his armor looks so you can
Yeah.
see him as like a King Arthur that got frustrated with the round table and is now trying to rebuild England in a completely different way so there was something really fantastic about that character so I would like some kind of closure. I agree with Mo that I would love to see an interaction between Ezra and Thrawn and just like a little bit more of Ezra because as we were saying before like Ezra grew up good like he is looking fine. He is acting like an actual man and not
Mhm.
like the annoying boy child that he used to be, and has like a flock to defend that respects him and cares about. And I really loved all the hugs and with Ahsoka. It felt like, a family
Mhm.
reunion in a way
Yeah.
that was really satisfying to see. So I wish to see like a little bit more interactions with that. And I don't I think it might be what Mo is saying. I think it's going to be this like kind of final confrontation when everybody's trying to go their own ways, and it's going to be kind of like that transition to the other galaxy, and maybe we're left at that. But it would be kind of cool if we see them like actually arriving in the other galaxy and like starting to regroup somehow, and
Mhm.
maybe the New Republic realizing that they were right all along, and Thrawn is trying to come back and like watch them be like, "Uh oh, so it's made," because they're being assholes right now, and I
Yeah.
kind of want to have them see that they were totally wrong. So, but I don't know. We
Yes.
don't know what's gonna happen. It's just the one episode left.
It's gonna
Yeah.
be interesting because exactly,
Yeah.
there's so much that's been set up that, like, I mean,
Mhm.
maybe they'll do it. Maybe one episode, Filoni's gonna like just
We'll
it'll be
see.
a 3 hour episode and everything is gonna happen and Mando shows up and Boba Fett shows up and Luke shows up and it's just what they
Annie,
always do. You know,
Annie can
Well,
go
I mean,
show
and
up.
there was already a
Force
mention.
Ghost Anakin shows up. Yeah,
Let's
everybody.
go show to everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, there was already a mention of the incident on Mandalore
Mhm.
and all these things. So they are tying the storylines together clearly, as we know.
I said that as a joke. I do not want any of those things to happen.
I don't want any
Just
of those things to happen, but who knows? It's Filoni.
It's Stallone, and it will happen. I just hope that it doesn't happen now.
Yeah, just like wait for the
Eh,
movie.
but
yeah,
but 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 not
yeah.
before we like Nani, you mentioned like something that kind of like parallel. You said like Balin like sort of like reminds you of like this like corrupted Arthurian
Mhm.
Yeah,
figure, which is interesting because Shin is almost like a corrupted like Joan of Arc figure.
Mm.
Like
ooh,
her conviction on like this like religion, which is power, like
Mhm.
yeah,
breaking away, and like it's almost like they play on each other, like that corrupted knighthood, but they're still playing on their ideals, like
yeah.
Mhm.
up to the
Mhm.
very end, and I think that's what keeps them like grounded in that like beautiful
Yeah.
like, balance.
I
I
mean,
like
you
that.
guys keep saying like those comparisons of individually of Shin and Beta, and I just can't keep thinking about the mirror with Sabine and
With
Ahsoka, and like
Sabine
how
and
all those things that are happening with them are the opposite of what's happening with Sabine and Ahsoka. Because what's the last thing we see of Shin? It's like, yeah, her leaving by herself, scared and
yeah,
alone after like her quest being destroyed in front of her, and Sabine
yeah.
the opposite. Like I left by myself with the enemy, and now I'm reunited with my
Thinking
friends and
that
a
my
group of
master
people.
was dead, and
So
now
it's like this,
yeah,
like delicious. It's so good. I love it. Uh, and we can go on forever. But in my speculation is, and what I would like to see, honestly, because what I'm worried about is that how we've been talking for years on this podcast, how we want to see new shit, crazy stuff, things we
yeah,
haven't seen before. Let's go to the unknown regions. We've never said a new galaxy. We've always said unknown regions, but we're finally
yeah,
getting what we've
yeah,
said we wanted, and we're in a new
yeah.
galaxy. And I will be very, very disappointed if we're only in this new galaxy for
For
four
these
episodes,
3 episodes or
3
whatever.
episodes.
Yeah,
Sorry, yeah, 3 episodes, and then it's like, okay, now we're into the old. So I
I
kind of
agree.
want to spend more time here, even though I know we have to come back because obviously
Yeah,
Thrawn needs to return so that he can be the
yeah,
threat for the New Republic, and we can have our movie, right? Uh, but what I would like to happen is, since it's gonna, I think it's dramatically, I think it makes sense, and I think it's gonna be better for the story, and also is self-serving because I want this. I think what's gonna happen is like Thrawn leaves in the Eye of Sion, and he makes it to the new galaxy. I mean, to the old galaxy,
yeah,
and he lays waste to the New Republic fleet when he gets there, because that's what happened, right? When Mon Mothma and Hera were talking, it's like, oh, you gotta treat this like it's a
yeah.
real
Like a real
threat.
threat. Yeah,
So I think Mon Mothma is going to send the New Republic fleet back to, I forgot the planet that they came from, so they can be stationed there to see what's happening, and then Thrawn's going to show up and destroy and show why Thrawn is Thrawn. But
hmm
then the counter side of that is that then our heroes are stranded in the new galaxy. So I think that's the cliffhanger. Like Thrawn's in the old galaxy, and our heroes are in the new galaxy.
they get stranded
Cut to
with
black.
Balin, who's searching for this mystic power to unleash.
Yeah.
Ah,
So it's just like, and then next season it's just like, okay, well then they have to work with that and then figure out how to get back while Thrawn is doing all his nefarious things in the old not old galaxy, but in the galaxy that we know.
original from the what we know.
So
Yeah.
that's just my speculation based on what we've seen and a little sprinkle of what I'd like to see because I still want to see more of the new galaxy.
Yeah.
Because I hope some characters stay there. I actually hope that Ezra and Ahsoka and Sabine, well, maybe not Sabine, because Sabine I think should be back with the Mandalorians rebuilding Mandalore, and maybe going back to visit Ezra. But I feel like I still want to see a new Jedi Order somewhere that is not in this galaxy, so that they can rebuild it and it's completely different. And then we get the
Yeah.
new Rey film about the new Jedi Order. Those Jedi meet the Ezra Ahsoka Jedi, and it's just like, oh shit, we're same but different. But that's now I'm like super wild speculating into years in advance for the Ray movie. But that's neither here nor there. We'll find out tomorrow.
I think that's it for tonight.
Yes.
Yes, short and
Okay.
sweet
Yeah. Not that short. I think it's been an hour.
for 3 people. we kept it concise.
Well, as you know, we were not releasing these episodes because of the strikes, but the writer strike is over, so we think we're going to be releasing them over the week after the premiere of the series finale, or
There we go.
was said to be the series finale. So that officially the show is over, and we don't want to like wait, and
Hmm.
that's why these were like kind of staggered. So sorry if you already watched everything and are listening to us to talk about something that maybe you don't care about anymore, but we've enjoyed the ride. I hope that you have too. So if you have a chance to listen, please like, comment, subscribe, let us know what you thought about
Yep.
Ahsoka so far, because again, by the time we release episodes, the whole season is going to be done. So just let us know what you think and what you expect of Ahsoka going forward.
Mhm.
So I think until next time, may the force be with you.